Hi everyone, welcome to Heartfelt Stories channel, where you'll discover how mastering your emotions and mindful responses, as shown in King George's and Michael's journeys, fosters inner peace. True strength lies in mastering our reactions. By controlling our emotions instead of letting them control us, we can improve our relationships, make wiser decisions, and find inner peace. Remember, it's not the situation, but our response to it that shapes our happiness and well-being. Once, there was a troubled young man named Daniel who sought guidance from the wise and enlightened Lord Lanto. Daniel had been grappling with intense emotions, especially anger and frustration, and was desperately seeking a way to control them. His volatile temper had strained his relationships and made it difficult for him to find inner peace. With a serene smile, Lord Lanto invited Daniel to sit beside him under the Bodhi tree and began, "Let me tell you a story. Long ago, there was a prosperous kingdom ruled by a benevolent king named George. King George was known for his fairness and wisdom, but he had a significant flaw, an explosive temper. One day, King George decided to visit a neighboring kingdom, famous for the wisdom of its ruler, King Charles, hoping to learn something valuable. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get notified about new videos." Upon his arrival, King George was welcomed with great honor. King Charles had prepared a magnificent feast with the finest dishes and exquisite wines. As the feast began, King George noticed a small fly in his soup and, disgusted, angrily demanded another bowl immediately. King Charles, observing this, approached King George calmly, saying, "Your Majesty, please do not be angry. It is just a small fly. It does not matter." King George retorted, "I cannot tolerate such things. Even a small fly can ruin my mood." Smiling gently, King Charles responded, "Your Majesty, may I offer you some advice? It is not the fly that ruins your mood, but your reaction to it. You have the power to control your emotions. Do not let them control you." These words resonated with King George. He pondered over them on his journey back to his kingdom. From that day on, he resolved to practice not reacting impulsively to situations that once triggered his anger. He began to notice a change within himself, maintaining composure in challenging circumstances and making more rational decisions. The story of King George and King Charles offers a powerful lesson. Often we react to situations without pausing to think, leading to negative consequences. Reacting with anger and frustration can damage our relationships and impair our decision-making. It is crucial to understand that not reacting does not mean suppressing our emotions, which are a natural part of our human experience and should be acknowledged. Instead of reacting impulsively, we should take time to process our emotions and respond thoughtfully. In another part of the world, in a bustling city, lived a young man named Michael. Known for his emotional nature and impulsive reactions, his anger often led to hurtful words and strained relationships with friends and family. One day, after a particularly heated argument with a close friend, Michael decided he needed to change. He realized that his impulsive reactions were causing more harm than good. Determined to take control of his emotions, Michael began practicing mindfulness and meditation, which helped him become more aware of his thoughts and feelings, allowing him to observe them without immediately reacting. Michael also started to practice the art of not reacting. Whenever he found himself in a situation that would normally trigger his anger, he would take a step back, close his eyes, and take a few deep breaths before assessing the situation calmly and responding thoughtfully. At first, controlling his emotions was challenging for Michael. He would still feel anger and frustration bubbling up inside, but he made a conscious effort not to react impulsively. Over time, with consistent practice, he found it easier to manage his emotions. Michael noticed significant improvements in his relationships. He was no longer getting into arguments and hurting those he cared about, instead communicating calmly and thoughtfully, which helped him build stronger, more positive relationships. One day, a close friend came to Michael for advice. His friend was going through a difficult time and felt overwhelmed and upset. Michael listened attentively to his friend's problems and offered words of comfort and support. His friend, feeling grateful, said, "You always know just what to say. You never seem to get angry or upset." Michael smiled and replied, "It's not that I never feel angry or upset. I've learned to control my emotions and not let them control me. It's a powerful tool that has improved my relationships and overall well-being." Impressed by Michael's composure, his friend asked how he, had learned to control his emotions. Michael shared his experiences with mindfulness and the power of not reacting, encouraging his friend to try these practices and see the difference for himself. Over time, Michael became known for his calm and thoughtful demeanor, handling difficult situations with grace, and people admired him for his strength and resilience. He continued to practice mindfulness and the art of not reacting, finding that it brought him a deep sense of inner peace and happiness. The power of not reacting is a valuable lesson for everyone. It requires practice and patience, but the rewards are profound. By controlling our emotions, we can improve our relationships, make better decisions, and live more fulfilling lives. The stories of King George and Michael teach us that while we may not be able to control what happens to us, we can control how we react. Through mindfulness and the art of not reacting, we can learn to manage our emotions and respond thoughtfully. Lord continued, "Anger will never disappear as long as thoughts of resentment are cherished in the mind. Anger will disappear just as soon as thoughts of resentment are forgotten. He who holds back rising anger, like a rolling chariot, is a real driver. Others are merely holding the reins. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. One who conquers himself is greater than one who conquers 1,000 times 1,000 on the battlefield. Do not be led by your reactions, be led by your actions. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. In a controversy, the instant we feel anger, we have already ceased striving for the truth and have begun striving for ourselves. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. The root of suffering is attachment. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. Respond, don't react. Respond with reason, not emotion. In the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. He who experiences the unity of life sees his own self in all beings, and all beings in his own self, and looks on everything with an impartial eye. Happiness never decreases by being shared. We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The only way to find true happiness is to let go of your attachment to things and people. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. It is a man's own mind, not his enemy or foe, that lures him into evil ways. An idea that is developed and put into action is more important than an idea that exists only as an idea. There is no fire like passion. There is no shark like hatred. There is no snare like folly. There is no torrent like greed. What we think, we become. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. If you want to fly, you have to give up what weighs you down. If you want to change the world, change yourself first. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. The trouble is, you think you have time. The mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear. The tongue, like a sharp knife, heals without drawing blood. Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise. Seek what they sought. Purity or impurity depends on oneself. No one can purify another. Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get notified about new videos. The only real failure in life is not to be true to the best one knows. The past is already gone. The future is not yet here. There is only one moment for you to live. To be idle is a short road to death, and to be diligent is a way of life. Foolish people are idle, wise people are diligent. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. Whatever a monk keeps pursuing with his thinking and pondering, that becomes the inclination of his awareness. Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Do not look for a sanctuary in anyone except yourself. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Through mindfulness and thoughtful responses, we can improve our relationships, make better decisions, and find inner peace. By mastering our reactions, we gain the power to shape our experiences and lead more fulfilling lives, as exemplified by King George and Michael.